Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the session. I'm sure you all spent that around 30 minutes on that video, and I'm sure you would have got at least some insights in terms of about the analytics career. So what we are going to do in this session is predominantly we will focus on getting your questions answered. That is what the idea of this session. So you understood till now what are the additional questions. So one by one you can ask your questions and then we can move forward. Prior to that, I'm going to quickly give you some insights about the supply chain analytics market globally as well. Without spending much time, to give you an understanding of what is the size of this market and how it is growing. It is estimated to reach around 16 to 20 billion US dollars by 2024. That is the end of 2024 or by early 2025. And it is growing at a CAGR of around 17%. Okay. So that means there are lots and lots of new products, new technologies, new services oriented supply chain analytics is also coming into picture. Now I want to show you one slide and quickly explain which I have not covered in the video, where and all analytics can apply specifically within supply chain. That's what I'm going to do. Let me quickly share that. Can someone quickly confirm? Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
You're not able to see?
No, sir.
Okay, just one second.
No, sir.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So this is a very quick schematic diagram of what happens in a supply chain. So without spending much time, because this is not a session on supply chain basics, so I'm going to quickly explain you how analytics play a crucial role here. Okay, so if you really see, there is a set of supply planning and demand planning. This is the planning side of supply chain, which then feeds this demand into the engine, and then you have the sourcing piece. Their job is to ensure the raw materials are brought in. Then there is a manufacturing which converts the raw material into the finished product, and then your distribution engine kicks in. Their job is to take the finished products to the end customer. In that, there as well, there is a primary logistics or primary transportation and secondary transportation. So primary transportation is any movement within, and secondary transportation or last mile, how you call it, is in e-commerce. It's the final movement towards the customer. Okay, so people keeps joining. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so if you really look at it, I want to just highlight it again. I'm going to just make few markings as well. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So what you see over here, that is, this portion is basically your planning side of it. Okay, so there as well in demand planning. So if you talk about any analytical tools on forecasting, how to refine forecast, anything related to demand forecasting, it will play a crucial role over here. And in the same thing works on your supply planning. This talks about how is my lead times are there, what is the kind of variability on that, how can I quantify uncertainties in the supply area. All those things will come in terms of the supply planning. And over here, this is where the inventory management of RM, basically before your conversion happens, whatever happens, even how predictable your suppliers are. So see, one thing which has always been talked about in terms of how predictable customers are, right? That is on the demand side plus customer behavior. Even on the supplier side, how the supplier behaves, though he is telling that I can do this, what he is potentially possible to do it. There as well, you can work on a lot of analytics side of it. Then on conversion, there are abundant opportunities in conversion where right from your what is the speed of conversions, your cycle times, your throughput times, your wastages, so many. We can even have and plan a separate session on manufacturing and manufacturing logistics on analytics. So there are tools focusing on that. And over here on distribution, right from the one of the biggest decision you will take in a supply chain within distribution is network strategy. So network related decisions in warehouse, how to put my products and ensure my space is utilized well, material flow related things, predicting how what is the probability that my products reach my customers on time. All different things will cover on your distribution analytics as well. And finally, the customer, as I told you, customer behavior related things as well. So what this means is analytics can fit into every function and every decision making of supply chain. I think that is one point you need to take care of. So second thing I want to also quickly share with you is in terms of, I'm sure everyone would have gone through the SCAM model. Just give me 1 second. I'll share that. Okay, you are able to see the SCAM model now in my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One second. Yeah. So coming to SCAM model, I think you all have to keep these two things in mind. One is the Gartner model, which is in the previous slide. You would have gone through it, which is descriptive analytics, diagnostic, and predictive and prescriptive. You should use that as a guidance to find out whether your career is going up and up. That is very, very crucial. And second thing, you should also understand the SCAM model, because this is how you drive the projects, business case, validation, solution design, implementation. Second, if you somehow got stuck up in the first phase itself, then you can be very clear, okay, somewhere my growth is not happening in the analytics field, and you need to either switch your jobs within the organization, or you need to find a job outside. Because if you realize that you're not moving towards that, so more and more you move towards validation and solution design, that means really you are growing in a supply chain analytics career. Okay. And final thing before I open up for questions, there are many ways you can build your career. In the sense, you can work with an organization which has analytics as a vertical. You can do that. Or you can join a service provider. A lot of organizations are now giving analytics as a service. So there is a product, they go and work on those business analytics tools in different client places. You can be part of that. In that case, that is also going to give you a good hands-on experience, plus you can work across multiple sectors as well. The last one, you can also be part of research. You think about someone who develops the products itself. You can have a career like that as well. So there is a good chance of being an individual contributor. You can be like a data scientist, do your PhDs. You can go that way as well. The other way, if you want to go into a CXO level roles, etc., then as I've told in the video, you need to acquire the knowledges on your problem solving as well as the team management. I think these are the key takeaways from the video, which I want to give it as a nutshell. Okay, so now with that, let me quickly open up. You can just unmute yourself one by one. Whoever is having questions, you can just ask me. I will take the questions and give you quick answers. Please go ahead. And it will be really great whoever is possible to switch on your videos. It will be helpful. I will be able to see you as well. It will be much better for interaction. Yeah, over to you. So you can, whatever the additional follow-up questions you had after seeing the video, you can ask me that now.
Good morning, sir. Shivendu this side from V School, Bangalore.
Good morning,
sir. My question. Yeah, good morning. So my question is, sir, talking about the solution design phase where the role of business analyst becomes predominant. So you mentioned like where we have to solve the business problem and prioritize it using certain multiple factors. So can you illustrate some of these multiple factors on which an analyst, business analyst should work after providing the solution?
Thank you. So to restate the question, you're telling there is a business analyst role. What kind of skills are required to solve a problem efficiently? Is that right, Shivendu? Have I understood it right? Hello?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The same thing I asked. And sir, what are the multiple factors on which we design a solution? How we prioritize a solution?
Okay, fine. So let me explain this in two different ways. First and foremost thing, you should all understand the business analyst. That could be different meanings to it. This is the place where the analytical ability plus the functional ability merges. Okay, so nevertheless, even when you are working on a junior level analytics roles, I would even suggest you to always acquire functional knowledge. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do your job better. Now, coming back to the question what Shivendu has asked, first and foremost thing for a business analyst to do a problem solving, he should have a functional knowledge on the topic in which you are discussing about. For example, let's take a very specific example. Assume this is a business analyst working on a manufacturing line. Okay, the case is the line is not delivering as per the industry standards. Let's put like that. We did a competitor analysis and we have realized the manufacturing ability, basically the throughput, is not in par with the competitors, for example. Okay, now you need to use the business analyst has to come up with a problem. So what he will do, he has to first collect all this data, so that he will be forming a team. He may work with different analyticians to collect all this data, look at the past data. For this, definitely the other roles which I talked about, the data architects and the data analysts, these people are required. But once the data is there, he has to read it. So that means first and foremost thing, for that business case, the business analyst should have a good knowledge about manufacturing assembly. That means on manufacturing. So what happens? So he should know terms like what is throughput time, how to do a line balancing, what is a workstation, what is line side, what is point of use. Whatever I'm all talking about, all these are manufacturing and manufacturing logistics related terms. So first and foremost thing is functional knowledge, number one. Number two is problem solving tools. Now, moment you got all this data, now you need to get meaning out of it. You can't directly put that into some software, though there are a lot of tools available which will give you the final solution, but you need to build that data sets. So for that, I would suggest a good knowledge on statistics. So what statistics does is, again, there are two sets of statistics without going much into detail. Descriptive statistics, which you use statistical tools. You can use statistical softwares to put this data, get the insights from the data. This is what you do in descriptive statistics. The second one, you will use predictive statistics if required to find out how this data could behave in the future. These are the two things you will do. The third one, you either have to build analytical models to do a simulation, or you can use some of the existing built analytical models. Now that will give you a lot of insights. Finally, you can use any of your problem solving ability. It could be another set of tools, solution design tools, or you leverage your experience and knowledge on the manufacturing line, what I just talked about, and then you come up with a solution. Not just that, moment you have the solution, again you go back to an analytics to find out what could be the outcome, what could be my return on investment, do a comparison. For that, you can again use tools like Pew Matrix, for example, or very quantifiably with data also you will do a comparison, and then finalize, okay, this is the right solution for my organization, and then move forward. This is a nutshell of what the business analyst has to do. I hope that answers the question, Shivendu.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Anyone else? Next question.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. My name is Vinay Nayak.
Hello, Vinay.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead, Vinay.
Yes, sir. So my question is that, we are talking about operation analyst role or operation analytics or supply chain analytics. So as per the automation that is present in current Indian market, like different businesses, if we consider, we find that in supply chain particularly, the automation is very much minimal. So what according to you are the different businesses that we can target after completion of our MBA to become a supply chain analyst or operation analyst?
One follow-up question. so you are interested in some kind of an automation, and in that you should use your analytical ability. Is that right?
No, sir. Actually, I'm like talking about if we see supply chain outside India for different businesses, they are more automated. In terms of, if I say, as you mentioned, the delivery side analytics. So in that, those trucks or any transit medium that is used gives them data, real-time data, so that they can analyze those data and they can figure out what the problem that is existing in the business.
Right.
But but in India it is not completely used now, like in current scenario, if I say. It is more about I would say a physical mode of transport or physical mode of supply chain rather than completely automated mode of supply chain.
Got it. Okay. So in India, what is the scope you are asking? That is what your crux of your question.
What are the different businesses that we can target?
Okay. Yes. So let me put this way. Very, very important, and this question is going to actually trigger a lot of thinking process in you. I 100% agree that logistics in India, it is in a very, very kind of a fragmented stage. It is so unorganized, right? And but what you said in terms of, if I see overseas, it is all streamlined. That is not the case. We work with almost 20 different countries in terms of logistics. There as well, customers give importance only to cost, and only those specific requirements which are enforced by law is getting followed. The rest of the things, it's there also. It's very difficult to sell any technologies. I just completed a keynote delivery on global logistics in a conference. Okay, the customer behavior is just changing post-COVID to see something outside the cost in terms of I am ready to pay for the value. So let's keep it in this way that yes, overall as logistics, always technology to get adopted at this point of time, not everyone is interested, but that thing is changing. Second thing, if you are an analytics, if you are very passionate about analytics, you should really get excited when you see results. So in that case, an industry which is very unorganized, like an Indian logistics scenario, will be much more exciting to you, because the data sets are not available good, and the industry itself is pretty much is not organized. So this gives you actually good amount of challenges, and that is where statistics can now play a great role in terms of quantifying that uncertainty. I'm sure you are getting this point. So that is number 2. Number 3, that you talked about automation. So these automations are predominantly driven by a product, and any data which is collected by the product, then you do some analytics around it. But there is not much of uncertainty, because the data sets are all cleaned up and ready. So you need to choose now. Either you want to get into a sector where there is currently a lot of opportunity. That means there more and more opportunities will come in from an analytics standpoint. So to me, if you personally ask me, I would tell those kind of things rather than taking something very stabilized where already a lot of automation is available. Okay, so Indian logistics industry is a great pick, because more and more now customers are asking, where is my product? I want it now. They are concerned about lead times. They want to keep the product stocked near to the customer point itself, close to the delivery points itself. So all these things are happening, and more analytics scope is increasing in these areas. So does that answer your question, or you have any follow-up questions on that? Or if you say
yes,
you understood my point, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Regarding logistics, I get. And sir, like follow-up question, I would say that, so what are the other industries that we should target, sir?
Other industries?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In terms of
okay. So if you're asking us other industries, I would suggest first let me put within the supply chain where everything is used before I get to the sectors and the other nuances on that. First and foremost thing, more and more analytics penetration is happening on distribution, that is your transportation and warehousing, because this is going to be the future. Because in manufacturing, kind of stagnation has happened in the sense from a competitive edge standpoint. Now, moment people now tell supply chain, they focus on the warehousing and transportation, okay, or they call it as logistics. That is definitely one area. You need to split that into completely two: warehousing and transportation. The requirements are completely different. Second one, planning. If you see my video on what makes supply chain so complex and exciting, the points completely whatever I talked about, right from customer behavior, quantifying the uncertainty, working in silos, everywhere there is an abundant scope for analytics. So you can pick specifically planning, by which you are quantifying the uncertainty. Second great area where analytics is going to play a role. Third one is analytics given as a service, which is completely different, but there as well the scope is getting increased. More and more opportunities are coming here. In terms of sector, in my opinion, automotive tops it all, because they are already stabilized with Lean, Six Sigma, theory of constraints and everything. So they are already very familiar with using this data. And now the next step is getting into a core analytics engine, and they are ready to invest in building it to their own systems itself. So there is a huge potential. The other specific sector I want to talk about is retail, both offline and online. Huge opportunities coming in. You can think about FMCG or even other sectors like F&B. Everywhere, retailing specifically, not wholesaling. The reason why I'm telling retailing comes up with millions and trillions of data sets, and it's becoming very difficult to get. You won't believe FMCG industry past decade, once they've shipped out the product, they won't even have any data after that. What happens, how many handsets move, completely the distribution channel holds that data point. So now things are opening up. People want that data. People want customer behavior data, and there's a lot of scope for analytics over there. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else have any question?
Yes, sir. One more question. Sir, since following your LinkedIn post, I have read one line like it's about process stabilization followed by technology implementation.
Correct.
So can you elaborate it using your experience or consulting career?
Okay.
Any real life instance where we talk about process stabilization and technology implementation?
Okay. So let me put this way. Let's take a very hypothetical example, rather than even picking specifics, because that will take long time to explain. I'll just give, there is an organization A, okay? And that organization has a lot of consistency issues. That means whether they are achieving the objective, that is completely different. They are not consistent. One time they produce, say for example, they manufacture, fans. They manufacture fans. One day they produce 1,000 pieces. The next day they do only 200, and one day there is complete shutdown. It's kind of chaotic. I'm just giving you the extremes. Now in that organization, you are going and implementing any technology. Absolutely, what that means is you are considering the outlying scenarios, the worst, the best, and this extreme is always you're heading towards a failure. The post what I put in is very specific to ERP. What happens in an ERP, the general thinking is, okay, my competitor organization has got as software X and ERP and they gained so much out of it. Now I put the same software, it works for me and it will solve all my issues. Absolutely not. What will happen is that ERP will be bought, it will be given to the operations team. They will see things are not working out. They'll keep that software aside, start working on again Excel sheets and Google Sheets. This is a ground reality. Why this happens? Because you have not mapped your process, understood what are all the wastage in a process, and then go for a solution. So what's the right process? I'll tell you. First state is current state mapping. Go and find out what I do currently. Today, what is the way I work? You need to document that. Again, documenting that there are different ways. We are not talking about that. You document it, then you are finding out, okay, these are all actually non-value-added activities. You won't even, if you want to use it as a lean language, you use it. Otherwise, you can tell these things doesn't add value to me. Note down that. So now as an organization, you come back and say, I need to eliminate all these non-value added activities. Now to do that, you go to the market and find out how can I solve this. To solve this, now you come up with an option of a software. Then it is great because you are merging your issue with that one. So now you map the project process, you know what are all the issues. You are basis that you're going to the market, you're fine. Now you need to very important step. What are the things can be solved by that tool or a technology? What are the things it can't? Before it can add value, what are all the things I need to do? This is the process transformation. So first you do the process transformation to a level from where actually it's like a relay, from where the technology can take over. Till then you need to do a process transformation. Part of the process transformation, then you bring in the technology at the end where your process is stabilized. Now you make it optimized to make it efficient. With the same resources, it can deliver more, or it can same resources, same speed of execution, but the defects and issues are less what it could be. So this step goes towards a winning. The probability of a win with this approach is much higher. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Hello, sir. This is Rahul. Sir, I want to ask that when we talk about supply chain analytics, then India is actually growing, be it MSME sector or online purchasing and all. So we are not just talking about the big companies like Flipkart or Amazon or everything. There will be smaller companies who will not have enough infrastructure to establish entire system for their supply chain analytics. So as a student or as a job seeker, so how the job will look like? Will it be an outsourced based job that the supply chain analytics will be done by some external companies for other organizations? Also, when these jobs will be outsourced, then what is the criticality of the data they will be sharing with them? Because it will be very vital for them, because these data will be based on their production supplies, and it will be very critical for their business making process.
Right.
So this is my question, sir.
Okay. So see, data sharing, without that nothing is possible. Okay. So that will happen. So you no need to worry. You may get into an NDA or some legal agreement. We do that day in and day out. So absolutely no problem. End of the day, it's an integrity related thing. So let's keep that aside, because I don't foresee any issues there. But the point what you talked about in terms of probably your small and medium enterprises using analytics and bigger companies using analytics. Now let me put this way, from a career standpoint, if an organization is not giving importance to the complete analytics vertical, it is very difficult. You won't get a great experience from that organization. So before you get into an organization, doesn't matter whether it is a Fortune 500 or a mid-sized organization, whether it is an MNC or an Indian company, whether it is an SME startup, doesn't matter. Preferably, you see a mid-sized organization which is at least there in operations for 10 to 15 years. So that is a good time. See what importance they give to analytics. How the analytics rolls up in their organization chart. Basis that you can take a call. Number one. Number two, some cases the analytics as a portion is embedded into role. That is another exciting thing. So for example, in Caterpillar, when I worked, I was a Lean and Six Sigma consultant. Like I'm kind of an internal consultant. The role is I need to solve the problems whichever comes in for Caterpillar different facilities across the globe. For that, I am equipped with the statistics and the analytical abilities in the form of tools and knowledge. That is an excellent role, because you get to do the functional side of it, and you have in your toolkit, you have the analytical ability. This is another way of doing setting up your career. So in that case, what you need to do, you need to pick up roles which are problem solving, and no one is going to bother you whether you've used analytics or not. Everyone will be expected in result. That means you have the flexibility to use analytics. So that is also great. Third one is product development companies, where you can go as a scientist and then be part of the research and come up with something new. This is the third one. Okay. The fourth one is be as a core operations role with analytics. That roles are called process excellence roles. Okay, so there as well, what is expected out of you is very simple. You take the process from one step to the next step. You can do that, or you can do analytics as a service. But I'll tell you few important catch here. Analytics as a service, you need to see it relied on a product. Are they selling just one product? Like an ERP, they have an analytics product, they sell this product. You should be ready. Your work life will be completely revolving on that product. Are you fine with that? If you're fine with that, you can do. Still, you will do projects, still you get hands-on, but the language you talk, the analytics, everything revolves around that product. You need to keep that in mind. Or same analytics as a service, someone like, for example, Heezall, giving supply chain problem solving as a service. But we don't have a single product, but whatever product you name, we would have done some implementation in past 5 years. What that means, I am not selling a product. I am doing problem solving. While solving the problem, when I need for a technology, I will go bring whatever technology in this world we can bring in and implement it. That is another kind of way you can see it. Third one, any organization you join in, for example, people call this as a control tower. That is not analytics. That is dashboarding. That is descriptive analytics, probably a knockdown form of descriptive analytics. That role sometimes, most unfortunately, doesn't go, because in that organization, the teams, though they call it as an analytical team, their job is to just report data. So you need to do a research on the organization before getting in, not about your job. How the analytical team's growth could be. Absolutely, you need to do this groundwork. Only then, because I can't name and specifically tell that. Probably you have a role, you can reach out to me, I can talk about that organization probably as in one-on-one. But these tips what I give you, only you need to do the research on that organization before you get into that particular organization or that particular role. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Perfect. Anyone else?
Hello, good morning, sir. Yes, Karthikeya.
Yes, Karthikeya.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir. Actually, I wanted to ask, when we have placement, like we are mostly in operations domain, but we are trying to follow it in analytics side. So, what level of statistical knowledge in descriptive and predictive is being expected from us? Is it to the level of modeling, or do we need to have just knowledge of regressions and what possibly basic knowledge, or to the level of knowledge like we can model the particular solution?
For operations role.
Or prescriptive analytics, yes, as in operation analytics role, for number of roles you just mentioned, right? Okay. Analytics as a service also, and for the other part also. Okay. And is prescriptive analytics is also being coming in this region or not?
Okay. So let me put this way. Now, operations, let's keep it very separately. Operations, we talk about execution. So I was taking care of operations in 3M and Flipkart. What is expected out of me is get things done as per plan. Okay, there people will look for your team management. Definitely there is a analytical ability will help you, but on your getting in, no one is required, as I told you, because I drive a lot of improvement projects that I will use the analytical ability, but that is not as required as a prime skill set, but it gives you an edge in that role, because core operations guy with this kind of process excellence or analytical ability is very, very rare. Okay. So with that, let's get into this analytics portion. So based on whatever you said, what level I need is, again, answer lies in the SCAM model. In SCAM model, if you start from the starting point of you started getting the data, make sense out of data, what you need complete statistical knowledge. You can use a tool or you can do it in Excel itself, because you know in and out of it. But if the data is very complex, a call out is there. If you're talking about, say, 1 million lines of data, then you need a tool. Obviously, that is where there is a separate big data, right? But in descriptive analytics, all you do is making sense out of your data. That is, you take everything. Think about in Excel. You take a data. What do a cleanup. You will do then a check by day, check by week, probably do a histogram and check it. As simple as that. And it can go as complex as well when your data is big, when the insights you need from that is very, very higher. Not just that, if your data sets are not good, there is a lot of inconsistency. That is where statistics plays a role. So you should be a good statistician at that place. The second step is now you need to be diagnostic also falls into that. So to diagnose, you basically what you can do is you should understand functionally how I can make 2-3 different data sets and make some sense out of it. That these two will come into it. Now the second portion, predictive and prescriptive, this is where problem solving comes into it. To be successful here, you no need for you to be great scientist level, because the scientist and research kind of roles get into building something new. But the basic requirements, the step one in predictive and prescriptive is understanding functionally the area which you are applying those models. At least use the existing models and you should be able to drive the solution out of it. This is the key thing. Having said that, ensure your journey is going up, because definitely directly you can't go into a prescriptive analytics. It's very difficult to catch up. So you start from descriptive, probably in 1 year. I won't suggest more than a year or maximum 2 years in descriptive analytics. You should move forward. Spend most of your time on predictive analytics. That is where your demand forecasting, how my demand is going to behave. What would be my probability of on-time delivery? What is my OTD is going to be? What is going to be my OTIF, on-time in full? You understood my point? I am mixing the functional words as well as the analytical requirements. That is what is expected on the predictive analytics. Does that answers your question, Kartikeya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. So one last question. After that, we can wind up. And still, if you have any further questions after this, you can use the Supply Chain Way forum. You can just go to www.supplychainway.com/forum. You can log in your question. Mostly within 24 to 48 hours, you can get an answer. Or you can also join in a few other sessions for which you can reach out to Hemalata as well. So one last question. With that, we'll wind up this session.
Good morning, sir. My name is Vibhav.
Hi, Vibhav.
So my question to you is, I saw the warehouse case study on the Supply Chain Way, and I tried to read it the whole. I understood somehow, but the approach which to complete that case studies I am not getting currently. So how to start the case study and how to get the decisions made. So I am not getting. So how can we improve on that?
Okay, so what you just said is exactly the problem solving approach. You need a good understanding. So don't be hard on yourself telling that you couldn't solve this, it is bad. No. People, first time when they are coming into consulting itself, they could have even have some 10 years of experience hands-on. Moment you got a live project on your hand, you see everything, you have all the tools at your shoulders, but you don't know where to start. It happens for everyone, and that is where the learning is also. So what you need to learn is more in terms of understanding of, for example, the Varos case study is a very tough one. So obviously you can read one article in our website which talks about warehouse optimization, where I would have explained what is RSQ, how to do a space planning. That would help you to give you some understanding. Second, what probably we are also planning is the approach we are going to make as a session, okay, to explain, okay, hey, this is the case, this is how you need to approach it, much more detail. You can probably go through that as well and then try out the case, leveraging your analytical abilities.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay. Fine. So I think we are short of time now. So if you have any follow-up questions, please, as I said, you can use the forum effectively, or even you can use those videos in YouTube channel of Supply Chain Way. You can feel free to ask any questions you may have. I hope whatever the questions, even I think 4 or 5 questions we answered, but definitely the people who are attending could have the similar questions, so you would have definitely got some benefit out of this. Share your feedback so that we can, if the feedback is good, if there are some improvements, you can just share it. We will get that included in the coming sessions as well. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining. We will meet you again in the next team, which is Supply Chain Consulting as a career. Thank you, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir.